Welcome to AI Rounds, your weekly dose of AI in medicine and education.
We are your hosts, Dr. Núria and
And Dr. Morgan Leaf. Each week, we'll bring you a quick dive into the latest in artificial intelligence and how it's transforming healthcare, medical education, and medical communications.
From the tools changing how we teach, learn, and write, to breakthroughs shaping patient care. If it's new, exciting, or just plain useful, we're talking about it.
In just 10 to 15 minutes, we'll get you up to speed and maybe even spark your next big idea.
Let's make the rounds.
Welcome back to AI Rounds. In our last episode, we talked about the optimism and experimentation around AI at Change MedEd 2025. Today, we're flipping the coin, okay? Because outside of the conference bubble, many people are struggling to actually use AI in their day-to-day work.
Yeah, Núria, this is really interesting to me because I just said a couple of episodes ago that I use AI more for work than I do for personal use, but I know that I'm in the minority there. So why does AI thrive at home but stall at work?
Yes, I have the same thing, the same response that you're saying, because I also use AI mostly for work. And then every now and then I'm doing something at home and I'm like, actually, maybe I could use AI for this. But the data seems to back it up. Okay. So, there's this newsletter called the AI Mindset, and they say that 70% of AI use is personal and not professional. And the new OpenAI report called ChatGPT Usage and Adoption Patterns at Work also shows that even though AI is spreading fast, advanced features remain underused because of organizational and behavioral barriers. So there seem to be a lot of barriers out there for people to use AI at work. And I think that that is what's happening here.
Yeah. And I think we should preface this discussion too for people who don't know us personally and say, we work for ourselves. So we have no organizational barriers. We are the organization for our respective companies. So perhaps that influences our perspective in being willing to try it for work. It has different implications for us. But let's unpack this. Why do you think there's such a gap between personal and professional use?
And I think you just hit the nail right in the head there, Morgan, because I think that is kind of what these reports found, is that at home people can experiment freely. There's no compliance, no oversight, no risk, right? So people feel like they can try things out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Who cares, right? And that's kind of like the type of freedom that freelancers or independent contractors have, is that we can also experiment freely so long as we do it in a responsible way, right? Not with client data and all that. And we can make decisions for ourselves. On the other hand, for people that are at work, the stakes are in companies, the stakes at work are higher, right? And we're talking about, as I said, client data. There are laws and regulations. There's the reputation for the person. There's the reputation for the business. So that, I think, inhibits the use of AI at work. And also, what we're still finding, which is kind of surprising, is that a lot of teams don't have clear policies. I mean, it's not surprising. AI is very new. But because there are no clear policies, people are like, better not use to, right? And it's better not to use it. It's better to just leave it alone until we know exactly what we're going to use.
Yeah, absolutely. That all makes a lot of sense to me. And I know you and I both know that there are people who say they don't use AI at work, wink, wink, but they actually do in isolation. They're just scared to say that they do, right?
Yes, 100%. That there's even a term for that. It's called shadow AI, where people lie about using AI, and this is indicative that that the tools work. Right, that there's a problem. The problem is more with the culture and not with the tools. So when people find a way to use AI that works, they will it will be hard for you to get them not to use it. So this brings it back to this is a behavioral issue more than a technical issue.
That makes sense. And if we wanted to zone in on our particular field, which is probably the field of a lot of our listeners, which is medical writing and CME, what do you think is stopping adoption?
I think there's like a lot of different types of barriers, right? We have cultural barriers, so a skepticism about quality. So people have heard a lot about hallucinations. Maybe people haven't heard about AI slop, but you see a lot of conversations on LinkedIn of people saying that they can always tell when something was written with AI, and that goes to this feeling about what AI produces is of lesser quality. So because of that, people are skeptic and they don't want you to use AI. From a writer's perspective, there's also the fear of losing the ability to write. Writing is something that the more you practice, the better you are at it. So imagine if we all stopped writing. Does that mean then we don't know how to write? That's kind of a little bit there. And another part of that, on the other hand, is the idea that AI will replace us all. And so I will not have a job. So there are a lot of conversations. It's interesting because there are conversations about how no one is using AI. And then at the same time, in the same conversation, people will talk about how everyone is losing their jobs to AI. So those are kind of like cultural ideas. There's compliance. So for regulatory writers or for all of us, like we're afraid about privacy and compliance types of issues. Technical barriers, I would say people don't know how to use the tools, or they don't have access to secure tools that would allow them to input data without it being compromised. And then you have personal behavioral barriers, such like I'm already busy, I already work a lot, and now you're telling me that I need to go and learn another tool. I know that this can be quite a big barrier, because like sometimes I'm like, I bet I can do this faster with AI, but I have a deadline and I don't have time to go and figure that out. So even for myself, I find that the best way for me to approach AI is when I don't have a deadline, because when I have a deadline, I want to use my old habits that I know work really well.
Oh, absolutely. That's so relatable. I You can ask my husband. Anytime I have to get a new phone or something, I dread it and I get really angry about it because I just don't want to have to take the time to learn how to use it. So that's super relatable and I get it. And I know that people are coming around to the idea, right? When we first started talking about AI, people are like, doesn't work, doesn't do what I want it to do. And so, we gave a lot of lectures last year at the Alliance conference about, hey, actually it does do what you want it to do. You just have to learn how to articulate what you want it to do in your
Mhm,
language.
mhm.
People are catching on to this idea now about how to write a prompt. And I even think that is much easier now than it was a year ago. What's your take on that? Because you use these tools a lot more than me.
So I think having the idea that, I think in terms of prompting specifically, right? Having the idea in your head that you need to learn how to use the tool and you need to learn how to ask questions in a way that will give you good answers is a good idea for everyone. It's part of AI literacy, right?
Mhm.
But having said that, prompt writing itself has become much easier, because what you can do is you can ask the AI to interview you and then write the prompt. So
Mhm.
the actual writing of the prompt is something that you can do more and more and more with AI, but having this understanding that you need to be very specific, or you need to be very clear about the questions that you're asking or the instructions that you're giving, and figure out for different tools you need to do the instructions in different ways. So that flexibility, I think, is still, people still need to learn that part of it, definitely.
That's so well said. I love that. And I'm really loving the term AI literacy that keeps coming up in our discussions. I'm really going to use that more myself because I think that frames it right in the right perspective because
Mhm.
it takes away the idea, again, we just talked about this a couple episodes ago, it doesn't do what I want. It doesn't do what I need to. It probably does, and it's probably a user error if it's not. And so this idea, calling it AI literacy, hey, it's something you can learn. It's something that we all learn when we start
Mm-hmm.
out, and it's totally achievable. And you can learn almost certainly to get it to do what you want it to do, or if not, something a really close proximity to that. So
Yeah.
I really love just the way the conversation is changing around that.
Yes, I agree.
And what are you seeing specifically in your work or, from your colleagues on
So,
this topic?
yeah, so I think there's a little bit of like a mixed bag. I think I said the other day that it's kind of like the Wild West out there. So I know that some companies are requiring AI literacy within their internal writing teams, and having everyone learn about how to use AI for like different parts of their internal writing processes. But then other companies completely ban it, right? There are some companies that are like, you cannot use AI for anything, including for search, for example. Which specifically, I think the bans are for people outside the organization. So if they're hiring freelancers, they might say to freelancers, you cannot use it for anything. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag out there. And then freelancers, on the other hand, we know that some of them are using AI and not disclosing it because we've heard from clients talking about this. So you see, like, I feel like we're creating an environment where people are just lying to each other, which is not a good environment, right? If you tell people you cannot use AI for anything, including for search, and then people are like, no, but search already has AI, so I'm going to use it. So you're just setting up all these expectations where people are lying to each other, which I don't think is great. And then there's like a big gap between companies that have in-house tools and companies that don't. And so people who are using, like, for example, in regulatory writing, you have a lot of solutions that are like very specific for the company, while for us as in CME, you see a lot of companies using out of the box tools. So I think that there's like a huge gap there as well.
Yeah, I love what you just talked about as far as just the no AI policies just
Mm-hmm.
resulting in everybody lying to each other, right? It's like this sweep it under the rug. This isn't happening. Don't ask, don't tell kind of thing that feels more like a cover your ass policy than an actual solution. And I always see those type of policies as, again, really holding things back. Like we said in episode 2, AI, every single one of us, as trained as we are at writing, AI can make every single one of our writing better. That's just a fact. That's how far it's come.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want the best product, you're so much better off working on how to responsibly incorporate this into your workflow rather than just saying, I always say 20 years from now, we're just going to laugh because it's going to sound like if we said right now, like you can't use Google, right? Like that
Yeah.
would sound ridiculous.
Yes. 100%.
And that's what it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
feel like when we look back on this time. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
And how do we close this gap that we're seeing between personal and professional use? What do you see as the solution?
Yeah. Okay. So everyone is trying to figure this out. So I think it's good that we all know that we're all on the same boat. We're all on trying to figure out how we're going to do this. What a lot of people are saying, and I think is a good thing, is to normalize experimentation. So, like as we said at the top of the episode, because we are independent contractors, we are free to experiment with these different AI tools, and that has like sped up our adoption of them. So the same would be true for companies as well, like create a safe place, a safe space for people to experiment with different tools and see where they can make it work for them. I always tell people to focus not on the tool. Don't look at the tool for a solution, looking for a problem. Think about it, flip it. Think about it the other way around, right? Think about where in your workflow would you like help? And then could AI help you with that? All right. So, for example, a place in my workflow where I would like help is in doing like the search, the literature search at the beginning. The reason I would like help with that is because, I don't know, for example, for non-small cell lung cancer, there's like, if not a million papers, close to a million papers. Like, how do you even begin to figuring out what to read there? So AI can help me with that. Yes, it can. Like I always say, the safest way to use AI is to use AI in search. So you can do that. And yes, it's just like have your ethical guidelines, guardrails for transparency, know how to maintain safety, and then create a safe space within those boundaries for people to try different things. Really, we all need to invest in upskilling right now in like getting trained with AI, like as personal, like with as individual contractors, but also as companies, like maybe select like a morning a week where you can learn about AI and test out different things. And yeah, and every little bit helps.
Absolutely. That's a great point. And where can people go if they want to learn more about AI as a medical writer?
If people want to learn more about using AI as a medical writer, they can follow my newsletter. I try to talk about different tips and ways to use AI, and I also like to talk about like how AI actually works because that helps us figure out how to use it in our works.
Perfect. I love it. I highly recommend subscribing to Nuria's newsletter. It's great. I read it every week. And with that, I'm going to bring this episode to a close. Thank you so much for your insights on this topic. I hope we talk about this again in 6 or 12 months and see where the balance is at that point, because I think it'll shift. Not everybody has the capability to use AI in their professional life, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're a waiter, if you're a hairdresser, you're probably not going to use AI in your professional life. But
Yes.
so that may keep the scales tipped towards more personal use. But I think we'll see some shift over time as people develop a comfort level. So it'll be interesting to come back to this.
100%. I agree with you.
Awesome. Good to see you, Nuria. Have a great day.
You too. Nice seeing you. Bye.
Bye.